On the night of August 24th, the sports world received some shocking and unexpected news that 29-year-old Colts quarterback Andrew Luck was retiring from football. Everybody has their own opinion on the decision, but this is not what the video is about. I personally support Luck's decision and hope he finds happiness after his football life. Anyway, with or without Luck, the 2019 NFL season must go on. The man behind Luck on the depth chart is 26-year-old quarterback Jacoby Brissett. Brissett, if you remember, was one time a New England Patriot and made a couple starts there as well. Brissett was taken in the 3rd round out of North Carolina State after transferring from Florida after his sophomore year. Brissett had really good junior and senior years, throwing for over 2,600 yards in both years and over 20 touchdowns as well. Even the interception numbers were low, so there was a lot to like about him coming out of college. In his rookie season, he was backing up Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo, so there was a very little chance that he would see some real NFL action. Well, since you can't predict sports, of course Tom Brady ends up getting suspended 4 games and Jimmy Garoppolo ends up getting injured 1.5 games into the season. With the 2 guys in front of him down, it was Brissett's team for the next 2.5 games until Brady returned. His first regular season NFL action came in the 2nd quarter in Week 2 versus Miami. Brissett did play well, going 6 of 9 for 92 yards and added 12 yards on the ground. He did enter the game up 21 points, so all he had to do was coast at that point. His first NFL start came against the Brock Osweiler-led Texans in Week 3 at home of 2016. The Pats ended up winning 27-0, and Brissett only threw for 103 yards, but added 48 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown. His second NFL start did not go as well. It started with a small pregame fight that included Brissett, but he did the smart thing and jogged away. The game ended in a 16-0 Bills win where Brissett went 17 of 27, throwing for 205 yards and added 23 yards on the ground. Brissett did unfortunately lose a key fumble, and the Pats could never get it going offensively after that. By the time Week 5 came around, Tom Brady was eligible to play, and as expected, Brissett never saw the field again. On September 2nd, 2017, just 8 days before the regular season, Jacoby Brissett was traded to the Colts for former first-round receiver Philip Dorsett. The Colts needed a quarterback for 2017 after Andrew Luck's recovery from shoulder surgery was not going as smoothly as anticipated. The Colts were headed into Week 1 with Scott Tolzien as their starter, and it seemed inevitable that unless Luck came back sooner than expected, Brissett would eventually take over. Scott Tolzien's performance was very bad, and Chuck Pagano had no other choice but to put Brissett in, who had only been on the team for 8 days at that point. Brissett entered the beginning of the 4th quarter with his score at 37-3, and he had a nice performance going 2 of 3 for 51 yards. After the Tolzien debacle in Week 1, it was Brissett who was named the starter the rest of the way. It can't be underestimated how tough of a situation this was for any quarterback. Not only did he have to learn a completely new playbook in less than 2 weeks, he also had to gain chemistry with his new receivers. He played behind a bad offensive line that ranked 25th by PFF in 2017, and there was still a possibility that Andrew Luck could return at any point and take his job away from him. As we now know, Luck did not return, and Brissett was able to start the remaining 15 games. His 4-11 record as a starter is not pretty, but you have to look beyond that. For the situation he was put in with limited prep time, I personally think Brissett did a really nice job. His final stats on the year were 3,098 passing yards, 13 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 260 rushing yards, and 4 rushing touchdowns. His offensive line did him no favors, and Brissett was sacked a total of 52 times in 15 games. Here's the thing about the 2017 Colts compared to now. That 2017 Colts roster was honestly not that great. Brissett didn't do anything to put the team on his back and win games by himself, but if you put a good team around Brissett, there's no reason he can't win more than 8 games. Brissett will make a flashy play here and there, but overall he's safe with the ball and won't turn it over much. What I'm trying to say is he won't win you games single-handedly, but he won't lose you games either. The Colts roster in 2019 is one of the better rosters in football, and as long as the 52 other guys do what they're supposed to do, then I still think there's a possibility they'll compete for the playoffs. Obviously, Brissett is no Andrew Luck, as most quarterbacks aren't, but Brissett is probably the best backup in the league. This time he has a full year under Frank Reich's system as compared to 2017 when he had barely a week to learn a brand new system. So just based off his preparation time alone, you think that Brissett outperforms his 2017 season where there was no guarantees. Now he won't have to look over his shoulder for Andrew Luck or worrying about surpassing Scott Tolzien on the depth chart. Brissett is going into 2019 knowing this is his team. I talked about the roster being better, and honestly it is a lot better than 2017. He'll have weapons like T.Y. Hilton, Devin Funchess, Paris Campbell, Jack Doyle, and Eric Ebron. There's also a night and day difference of the talent on the offensive line compared to 2 years ago. It helps that Brissett is more experienced this time around as well. He now has 3 full NFL seasons under his belt as compared to 1 when he was first traded to the Colts. And lastly, it can't hurt to sit behind Tom Brady for 1 year and then Andrew Luck 2 years later. The Colts organization also raves about Brissett. Colts general manager Chris Ballard said, "He's a rare leader and the locker room loves him." Owner Jim Irsay was quoted saying, "We are ready to go to battle and we have tremendous certainty that Jacoby is a guy that can change this narrative." Even Andrew Luck mentioned Brissett in his retirement speech, saying, "Cannot wait to support him and see him lead this team. Excited for the future of the Colts in large part because of Jacoby." So if you're a Colts fan and watching this, I seriously would not be too concerned. The Colts are in great hands with Chris Ballard running the team, and in the event that this season does not go well, he has the assets to trade up for a stud quarterback in the 2020 class, if it were to come down to that. On the other hand, maybe Brissett ends up playing really well, and you don't have to worry about that. It's hard for me to call Brissett the guy beyond 2019, but it's definitely possible. If I had to guess now in August of 2019, I think it's more likely that the Colts will trade up for a franchise quarterback next April. But for all we know, the Colts can go 11-5 this year, make a deep playoff run, and then decide that Brissett's their guy. It'll definitely be interesting to see what happens in Indianapolis this season, whether it's good or bad. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you next time.